Hi, friends, and welcome to Self Meets Soul, a podcast where we discuss how to discover what sets your soul on fire and modern ways to integrate spirituality into your daily life. My name is Juliana, and today we're going to be talking about all things evolvement, all things change, all things transition. And if you have been feeling like, what's happening right now? What is coming next? I don't really know what's going on. I thought I had a plan, but now I think things are looking different. Then you are not alone and you are actually right on time. So, if you saw one of my more recent episodes with Kat Miles, where we talk about the astrology of 2026, then you know that we have recently moved from the year of the snake into the year of the horse. And as I'm recording this, it's February 24th, and we had that transition into the year of the horse last week. So, just a brief recap: the year of the snake was all about shedding, transitionary stuff, just releasing old things, things that don't fit anymore, just like how a snake sheds its skin. Now we have finally moved into the year of the horse. And also 2026 in numerology is a 1 year, which kind of goes along with this horse energy, which is new beginnings, action, movement, momentum, just fire energy, getting things done. So I've also really been feeling this energy, and crazy enough, the last night of the year of the snake, I was sweating so bad at night. I literally was like, why am I so hot tonight? And when I woke up, I even felt like groggy in my head. It just had felt, I low-key was wondering, like, did I just like have a fever in the night and just have night sweats? But it was so random and it didn't happen the night after that, and it hasn't happened since. And I feel like that was Spirit's way of giving me that final release that I needed to in my sleep to propel me into this year of the horse. Because the year of the horse didn't start right in January, it just started. And over the last 2 months of this year, I have been feeling change and transitions, all of which were not planned. I've moved apartments. Well, that one was planned, but not really, which I'll kind of get into that in a second here. I'm no longer teaching like on a regular basis yoga. I'm on a sub schedule. I've started a new relationship in October. And also, there was something I was really working towards achieving by February of this year, and it's not happening on that timeline. So, all of these changes for me, it kind of felt like it was hitting me all at once. In January, I was coming to terms with the fact that, okay, I wanted this thing to happen for me next month, and it's not happening. And because it didn't happen, I was like, okay, I need to move apartments and I need to just move, right? And start a new phase here in Phoenix. And so that was a change. I've been loving my new relationship and my partner, but obviously I've had to shift my schedule and learn about including someone else in like my day-to-day life. So that was a change. And then this thing with yoga happened, and that was definitely unplanned. So I work for a corporate studio, and they've just made a bunch of changes this year in lots of different directions. And one of them required me to pick up more classes than I'm currently taking. And if I did not want to pick up more classes, then I was going to have to be a sub. So get moved to the sub schedule. So just pick up classes basically whenever I wanted. And this came as a surprise to me. This was an unexpected change. And I did have a say in this, right? In some way, I did have a little bit of control in the fact that I had a choice to either A, pick up more classes every week, or B, move to the sub schedule. And I let this decision be led by my gut and by what I know in the past from when I used to teach 4 yoga classes a week on top of my full-time job, right? And I made the hard decision to move to the sub-only schedule. So yeah, it was my choice, but it also wasn't in a way, right? Like I was perfectly well, I won't say perfectly happy with my one time a week. I'll get into that a bit more soon here, but it was just a change that I was not expecting. And so my immediate reaction was panic when I was told this by my boss. And then I got off the phone with her. And then I started calling and texting my support system. I talked to my friend Jasmine. I called my mom. I really encourage people to try and not do exactly what I did. And I've gone away from this. I used to be someone who, when things were happening, there were transitions or changes in my life, the immediate first thing I do is pick up the phone and call someone in my support system. And how lovely is that? I am so grateful that I even have the opportunity to have a support system and have people that I feel safe and comfortable with enough to, when I'm feeling big feelings and big emotions, call them and get support from them. However, what I've learned over the past few years is the importance of trusting myself, which was my word for 2025, trust. Not just myself, but also trusting in the universe, that the universe does have my back, and that whatever it is that's happening, whatever change that I'm being confronted with, is happening for a reason. And I don't know why it is, but just trusting that it will be for the better. So I kind of did things opposite here when I felt like, oh my gosh, why are all these changes happening to me so quickly? Like, goodness, the year of the snake is like getting one last punch in there to be like, okay, here are these things that you're going to let go of. We're going to just take them out right now, so you can go into Year of the Horse with just new energies and new starts. So after I did call my support system, then I slowed down and I was like, girl, use your tools, the ones you learned in therapy, the ones that spirit has put into your heart. Calm yourself and like listen to yourself and see the situation for what it is, and what it is not is the end of the world. Because change that we do not plan, change that like comes out of left field, that we didn't necessarily ask for, we don't want, that we might view as negative, it is hard to see in that moment why it's happening, and it's hard to be positive about it. And I don't suggest that you try to be positive about whatever change is happening immediately, because that's a form of spiritual bypassing. It is your responsibility as an embodied person with feelings to feel whatever it is that you're feeling when this change happens, and let yourself go through the grief, the sadness, the anger, the confusion, the fear. And once you fully allowed yourself to express that, you let that emotional feedback loop complete, then you can start having that mindset shift. Then you can tune in to your connection to spirit and that trust. So when I was able to finally do that, I was inspired to write my first Substack article, which I'll link in the show notes, about how hindsight is 2020. And we heard that a lot during COVID, but obviously it's still relevant to this day. And all that saying really means is that when something happens to you, and I don't even want to phrase it like that. I don't want to say something is happening to you. When something is happening for you, you typically can't see why it is happening in that moment, but you'll understand later. You lose a job, you break up with your partner, your parents get divorced, you fail that really important assignment or project at work. You don't understand why. And like, that's a lot of our reactions, to be sometimes a little bit melodramatic sometimes. I mean, I'll be honest about that. I'm a little dramatic about things sometimes. And it's just like, why me? Why is this happening to me? It's not happening to you. It's happening for you, because you need to have that trust that the universe does have your back. Even in these moments of change that you didn't ask for, that you're seeing as negative, it won't always feel that way. You'll see eventually why you had to leave that job. You'll see eventually why you and that partner did not work out. You'll see eventually why that project failed. I can't tell you when you'll see that. That's another thing to remember. You don't have control over when. Like I talked about in my Control Freaks episode, that change happens and immediately you're like, red alert, something's happening to me and I did not plan this. Oh my God, how can I grip control? How can I take a handle back of this situation? And you can try and say all you want, it's fine. This will make more sense to me next month. It might not be then. It might be in a few months. It might be in a few years. That's the importance of having that trust, that patience, that understanding of divine timing. Because divine timing isn't just about, I want this thing to happen. It didn't happen when I wanted it to. That's okay. I'm trusting in divine timing that it will come right when it needs to. That's one part of it, right? But it's not the only part of it. It's also oh my God, here is this big change that's happening for me. I wasn't planning for this. I'm not ready for this, but you are. You are ready for it because it is happening within divine timing, even though it is not planned. You were meant to be pushed out of that job, that relationship, to have to start over on that project. You are meant to experience that in the moment that you are currently experiencing it in, because it is your catalyst to move on and to evolve into the next part of you, the part of you that is aligned and more tuned to your highest self. Now, knowing that we're in this transitionary period is obviously easy to point out, right? When you're having those big changes that I just pointed out. But sometimes that's not always the case. You may be listening to this and you're thinking, okay, I haven't had anything really big like that happen to me, but I have been feeling like something's off and I don't quite know why. So, how to know you're in a transition phase? Things that excited you don't anymore. Maybe there was something that you were really passionate about, and then suddenly you're like, actually, I don't really care. I don't find myself feeling inspired to do that anymore. And I think immediately we try to judge that sometimes, and we're like, oh, I'm just being lazy or I'm giving up. But if that feeling is persistent, if you find yourself constantly doing something that you're just not excited about, that is a tap from the universe that it is time to transition into something else. When you start to question things, when you're like, what if I quit my job and I became a sound healer full time? What if I dropped everything and moved to this random place that I haven't even thought of living before? What if I end my marriage? Like things like that. You're starting to question things. Because everyone has those moments, right, where maybe you're unsure about something and those questions pop up. But if they continuously pop up, that's the point. Because when you're heading into a transitionary period, when you're moving into a big change, one that you don't know what's happening yet, where you can't see what the change is going to be necessarily, the universe will whisper to you. They'll bring up these feelings of doubt. They'll take away that passion and that thing that doesn't fit anymore. It'll make you uncomfortable in your own skin. And it just keeps going until it gets louder to ignore, and until you're like, oh my gosh, I quit. I'm moving to Costa Rica or whatever it might be, right? It's like your favorite pair of jeans or something that, they always fit so amazing and you wear them all the time. And then suddenly they're starting to get a little bit snug. And then you're like, these don't feel the same, but I can still wear them. Like they still look decent. Eventually, they're just not going to fit anymore. And it's going to be uncomfortable to live in something that it's time to get rid of. Another way to know you're in a transition phase is if you feel both hopeful and afraid. So when this change to my yoga teaching happened, my first reaction, like I said, wasn't positive emotions. It wasn't like I was happy about it. I was more so like, oh, well, what am I going to do now? Like, maybe I immediately should go start looking at other studios. and seeing all the negatives of me moving into a sub position instead of the positives of now I get to, pick my own schedule and teach when I feel called to teach. I was more so afraid because I didn't know, because I don't know what's coming. So what does this mean for me in my yoga teaching? What does this mean for me as a healer? But at the same time, when I paused and took a breath and looked underneath that fear, there was also a feeling of hopefulness, because what I actually realized and what I was telling my friends and my partner is that months prior to this thing happening, way before January, like in the fall, I was already starting to feel not aligned as much. Something in my teaching wasn't feeling the same. I couldn't quite put my finger on it. And I kind of was just like, it's fine. Like, we'll see. It was like that pair of jeans. My jeans started to get a little bit uncomfy, but I was like, meh, I can still wear them for a couple hours a day. But that was the universe telling me this probably isn't the right place for you anymore. And then lo and behold, because I didn't do anything about that feeling, right? I didn't pause and dig deeper into why am I feeling that way about teaching right now. Then in January, I was given that ultimatum, and I knew. When it came up, I was like, what are the odds? Another example of that, I just had my last therapy session last week, and she had messaged all her clients a few weeks before saying how she was leaving the practice and she was moving into like teaching at a university full time. So she wasn't going to be doing therapy anymore. And literally like 2 months before that, I was telling my boyfriend at dinner, I think I'm going to stop therapy for a bit. Like the last couple sessions, I felt like I really don't have anything to say. I'm just mostly updating on her life, but I'm feeling happy. Like, yeah, I'm going through some changes right now, but I feel like I can handle it, and I think I'm okay to stop for a little. And he was like, "Oh, it might be good to still go like every now and again and just keep up with it." And then she sent that email that she wasn't going to be doing it anymore. The universe made that choice for me. I was like, all right, guess I'll still go. It was like, no, you won't. Because you're transitioning into this next period of life. You have this amazing, wonderful support system from her, but she gave you all the tools she could give you. And now you're ready to move on because you've started to master using those tools and to have that recognition of your patterns. You're not going to be teaching every week anymore because you already were feeling misaligned with what you were doing. I still had that feeling of hope though. Even though these changes were happening, there was still hope. That thing that I really wanted to manifest for this year, this month, or February, I should say, since this is coming out in March. Even though it's not happening on my timeline, I still have hope that it'll happen. I can't even explain to you this feeling. It's just like, okay, didn't happen when I wanted it to. And low-key, I had a couple astrologers tell me that as well when they were looking at my chart. It's not happening when I want it to, but that's okay. Because look at all this other beautiful stuff I have going on right now. Look at where I'm living right now. Look at this relationship that I have right now. Probably wouldn't have had that if this thing came true. But I know that it will. It's just not now. When you know that something is happening, but you can't put your finger on it, but there is that little smidge feeling of hope, of trust in the universe and where it's taking you, that's how you know you're in that transition phase. It's okay to be a little afraid of it, but you should also allow yourself to feel hopeful because it's exciting. It's going to be exciting at the end. Think of all the things you have right now in your life, all the things you're doing, all the people you have in your life, all the ways you're feeling that you had no idea were even coming to you. There were certain changes in your past that happened for you that lined up so that you could have all of this that you have right now. So there are going to be things that continue to happen, changes that happen for you, and you don't know why, but they're going to be for the better. and they're going to bring things into your life that you didn't know were even possible. So if you are in that transition phase right now, move slow through it. Let yourself be in it. It's actually funny because I was already going to record this today, but I went to a yoga class this morning, and that was literally the instructor's intention, was to move slow through the transitions. And because I'm a yoga teacher and I've been practicing for a minute, I think I have a natural tendency to move through the postures like quickly. And the style of my teaching is vinyasa. Like I'm very into breath to movement. But for example, we were getting into dancer's pose and she made us slow down. Like we were in chair. And then we had to slowly lift our right foot and just hover it above the ground. And then we could go into one leg mountain. Then we could glue our knees together. Then we grabbed our foot. And then we went into the full expression. Even though that's something I can move through like that, like fluidly as heck, she wanted us to move slowly through it because it's not always about where you're ending up. If you're going through a transition right now, a change, I want you to try your best to not focus so much on, well, what's at the end of it? You can be excited about what's at the end of it. You can be a little afraid, but bring yourself back to the present moment. Presence is key to so many things in spirituality and to personal transformation. Be present in what's happening right now. After I had my little moment about like, oh my gosh, why are all these things happening to me in mid-February? All these changes like that I didn't know. I feel like a lot's happening right now and I don't know what's happening at the end of it. I took a step back and I was like, that's okay. It is more than okay to not know what's on the other side of the rainbow, what's waiting for you behind that door. Enjoying the journey, moving through it slowly, not trying to rush to be like, okay, this change is happening. Let me hurry up and do XYZ so that I can get to from point A to point B. Moving slowly through that transition, intentionally, stopping and smelling the flowers. Look at that cloud. Oh my God. That tree is so pretty. Do you smell that? Smells like cookies. All these things that you start to notice on your way to point B, that's life. That's living. I think we're so conditioned to achieve this, and then we move on to this, and then we do this. It's just like one thing after the other, crossing things off of your to-do list, check marking all of your goals. But it's these transitionary periods that we're in where the real growth happens, where you experience joy, where you experience surrender. Because the fact of the matter is, you can't always predict what is going to happen at the end. And you don't need all the answers now. The universe is placing this change in your life so that you can go through this transition for a reason. And you can use these transitions, these changes, as an opportunity to connect to your intuition. So if you are in this phase right now where you're like, I just be living, I don't really know what's going on, I'm just taking things day to day, perfect, amazing, pat yourself on the back. As I said when I was a kindergarten teacher, kiss your brain, you're doing amazing, because that means you have the opportunity to just listen and get intentional and get deep and get quiet and look within, to live in body and think about, okay, well, now that this is happening, what do I really want? What actually feels good to me? And you're like, dang, maybe this thing I had, this passion project of mine, that doesn't feel right anymore. And instead of beating yourself up about it and being like, oh, I'm giving up, I failed. No, you didn't. You listened to your intuition, you listened to your gut, you listened to that tap on the shoulder. You turned around and you looked at Spirit who's tapping you on the shoulder and you said, oh, okay. You want me to go that way. I'm meant to go there. I was going here, but now I've come to a fork in the road and it looks like I need to go left instead of right. Trusting that source has your back, like I've mentioned. I've mentioned this in so many episodes because it is key to your personal growth. It is key to surrendering and just living a happier life, knowing that you don't have all the answers and you're not supposed to, but that You're living so intentionally, you are trusting yourself and source so fully that you know at the end of it, whatever the end is, that you're exactly where you're meant to be. Well, friends, that's all that I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you enjoyed this podcast, please be sure to share this episode with someone. You never know who might resonate with it. Chat with you later.